Alright, happy Monday. I took one trade, which I think was a good trade, honestly. So, not really upset with the loss. I'm a little bit more, somewhat upset about, maybe I should have been a little bit more defensive, but either way, my bias was we had finally come back into this daily SIBI, this bearish fair value gap. And this was pretty much the drawn liquidity going like throughout all of last week. So once we came into here, I was just strictly bearishly biased, and what I wanted to see was we were forming a possible seek and destroy where London takes out Asia low, Asia high, then New York session took out London highs, and I was expecting us to roll over and start the higher time frame sell side of the curve possibly, and maybe go down to target those lows. Also, if you look a little bit more zoomed in, we opened up. I guess this was sort of your manipulation leg right at 9:30 before displacing higher, but I was viewing all of these drives higher as just like us slowly failing to the upside. We took out buy side, took out buy side, took out buy side, and we haven't rebalanced yet. And my higher time frame bias is bearish, and I was thinking that we would go down towards these lows. So yeah, I was just very bearishly biased. And then so we have that, right? So we have all these drives, 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, right at, this was 10:10. So this is your silver bullet. So all of those things together, I had a lot of conviction in the setup. I thought this was a good setup. It's also, you got like a breaker in here as well, so it's like a unicorn, right? All that stuff. So taking the standard deviation also lines up into this imbalance as well as those lows. So I thought this was a really good setup, and when you look at it right here, I mean, that looks pretty damn good, no? And then come in, tap in, have another push lower. I mean, right here, this looks beautiful, right? Some people are probably entering in here as well, in that fair value gap. Ends up getting ran through, and then start to push lower. We formed, almost got stopped out here. We formed like an SMT here at these highs, and then once we pushed lower, I guess I realistically should have taken it, or I should have moved my stop loss to break even once we took this low. But I was just thinking, like, these are really high resistance conditions. I don't know, I thought maybe we would have another push up somewhere in here. I thought maybe my entry could get tapped into, and then us sort of reject. So, when we had done this, I was starting to think, like, alright, yeah, maybe I made the right decision to, like, not move my stop loss. I was thinking this would become, like, an inverse, but then we sort of held that, and then I think this is where I should have definitely protected myself. So we were holding, this is probably, I don't even have to mark it out, this is probably, most definitely actually, OTE right in there. So we're holding OTE, and then we push up. So now when you're looking at this, if I take this stuff off the chart and you're just looking at this model here, took that low. This is pretty much just low resistance liquidity, right? We have all of this buy side. We displaced up, held OTE, and then this is our market structure shift both here and here. So once we had that shift and then started to hold this and sort of just consolidate in here, I had plenty of opportunities to get out right about break even. We formed equal highs above us as well. So I should have realistically just gotten out right here at like break even or just like a paper cut loss. But I ended up trailing my stop to this high because I was thinking like if we run through this high, like it's just going to be a low resistance liquidity run. We're just going to take all this. And so yeah, I ended up getting stopped, and then it ended up taking out those highs. I was also thinking of taking a trade right after this with pretty much the same bias in mind, thinking that we were going to go lower. And what I had my limit order set to was this. This was my limit order. And so I had pretty much lost a bit of conviction that we would go all the way down to here, just like Monday price action, all this chop. We had an SMT here, which was like a bigger SMT, and then right as we go into lunch, we had a big displacement down. This is your 1 minute fair value gap, and I was just going to target this low because big fair value gap here. I didn't really know what was going to happen, but I was looking at this saying like, alright, this looks like it could easily be a low resistance liquidity run down to this low, and then if we're going to run down here, we're probably going to rebalance into this fair value gap. I still thought we were going to go lower, but I was like, if I get filled in, let me just take sort of the low-hanging fruit here. So I had my stop somewhere above here. This was my limit order, and we just formed, triple equal highs, and then went lower. And I was, there were entries in the lower time frame, but I was just not willing to short with these triple equal highs here. If we had like one high and then we dropped down lower, like maybe I would have been a little bit more inclined to take like a 30-second fair value gap. But I don't know. I was not a fan of this. I really wanted to see these highs get taken. And so I just stayed disciplined. I was like, I'm not chasing this. If I get filled, I get filled. If I don't, I don't. And I never did. So, no trade. And then, this fair value gap ended up being, the spark of this whole expansion move for the rest of the day. And I just thought price action was pretty trash for the rest of the day. So, I didn't take anything else. That was the one trade that I took. So, realistically, probably shouldn't have traded just based off of it's a no news Monday and all the price movement we had last week, all the news. But I thought this was clean, so, and I think, right here, it looks pretty convincing, honestly, to enter here, or even if you wanted to wait for confirmation that we're initiating sell side of the curve, and then you enter here. It looked pretty great. It looked pretty good. So it is what it is. Kept the loss small, so easily could make that back. So hope you guys didn't get caught up in the chop. Maybe you made some money. Stayed disciplined. So if I take a trade tomorrow, I'll let you know. So thank you and peace out.